We'll start with Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, followed by Brendan Clean. Dwayne. All right, we're going to go to Brendan Clean with Locked On Suns.
Hey, Coach. Having been in this position now with elimination opportunities a couple times with this team, do you feel more confident heading into today, tomorrow, the work you guys have, knowing they've done it before and there's maybe less nerves?
I haven't thought about that part, V. The thing that we've talked about is approaching today with, a great level of focus and trying to get something out of today. And hopefully, that breeds confidence. There's confidence when you know you've prepared well and you put the work in. But every game and series to me is different. They have lives of their own. And so I just think it gets harder and harder as you go. I'm not quite sure if we're overconfident. I don't think so, but I think there's there's more familiarity with the situation than we had before the playoffs started, for sure, just because we've had so many guys or have so many guys that haven't been in this situation. So I think from that standpoint, our guys are starting and understand how important every possession is, every film session, all that stuff that allows you to have success in the game. So maybe from that standpoint, having been through it with a group of guys who've, are going through this for the first time, maybe that breeds confidence.
Next is Dwayne Rankin, followed by Sierra Santos.
Yeah, Coach, I could tell after when you were talking last night about the upcoming game, I was like, they're probably going to practice. They're probably going to practice today. How did it go? And then what do you feel like you guys got done today?
I just wanted the guys to be able to come in and be around each other, get some feedback from them about what they thought, walk through a few things. Anytime we come to the gym, we're going to have a bunch of guys that work on their game, get up shots, lift. It's that time of the year where practices are not, quote unquote practices, but you can come in and spend an hour and a half just walking through stuff, talking about the game, and trying to have a productive day. So I think it was good for us to come in and not sit around all day today and listen to whatever everybody's saying. I thought it was good for us to come in and get our approach and our mindset ready for tomorrow.
Quick follow. You mentioned yesterday about how, you reach out to Coach Popovich, not about everything, but just specific things. When a situation like this where, you're up 3-1 and like you say, coming in to focus today, what are things that maybe you've even discussed with Popovich about certain situations like this that will help you preparing for tomorrow's game?
I haven't when it comes to particular situations, just because he tends to tell me the same thing. Unless I ask him about a specific detail of the situation, then he might recall an instance where he went through it. But for the most part, he is huge on less is more. And that's usually what I get from him when we talk. Keep it simple, keep loving your guys, do the things that you've done to get here, but don't crowd their minds with a lot of unnecessary information. Less is more is always the phrase that echoes in my head when I think about our conversations about basketball.
Next is Sierra Santos with Fox 10, followed by Mark McClune.
Hi, Monty. Just watching that game last night was exhausting, and most of us were sitting in our seats. How are you guys feeling today? Because like you said, it was a slugfest. I just wanted to check and see mentally, how are you guys doing? And physically, how are the players doing?
I think physically we came out okay. Mikhail got popped a couple times because he was playing so hard and attacking the glass. We had 13 rebounds. Abdul was able to get back on the floor, and, I'm sure his body's adjusting to that. In a physical game like that, you're going to have soreness and things of that nature. But I think mentally we came out stronger, knowing that we can go on the road and win in an environment like that, and win when the ball just continues to go in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're able to, hold a team to 80 points and get stop after stop after stop, and then execute down the stretch to close the game out. I think that makes you mentally stronger.
Next is Mark McClune with Channel 3, Channel 5, followed by Gina Mizell.
Hey, Monty, you'd mentioned last night DeAndre's impact on the game, how much you thought it helped you guys win. What do you feel like has been his biggest area of growth since the playoffs started?
I think his every possession mentality is something that wasn't poor during the regular season, but we've just seen it go up. Every possession he is playing like his life depends on it. And the effort, the stance, the ability to go get rebounds out of space, like you just don't see him take possessions off. And during the regular season, with all the games, travel, and things of that nature, there's a tendency for all of us to just kind of get caught up in the monotony of the season. I've seen his level of focus go up in ways that most young bigs, you just don't see it the way that we've seen it from him, and we hope it continues.
Next is Gina Mizell with Suns.com, followed by Kellen Olson.
Hey, Monty, kind of a broader question for you that sort of is in line with a line of questioning you got before the game yesterday, when you were asked about kind of how you manage the off days, and you just mentioned the less is more concept. I'm curious, that kind of hour or so between when you talk to us before pregame and you actually take the floor for the start of the game, how do you spend that time and to get yourself mentally ready for the game, to prepare yourself? How do you spend that time, and has anything changed, just during the playoffs, given the stakes of every game?
It typically, for me anyway, morphs between one coaching meeting that turns into 3 or 4, depending on who walks through the office or where my area is. It could be a few meetings. I typically have my film set up, watching games or situations, that kind of thing. And then I either have, some type of Dick Wolf show on, or I'm listening to Casting Crowns, something like that. So starting to think that I might be ADHD because I got a lot of stuff going on at the same time. And it's just the way I've learned to operate and try to stay busy. If I don't, you tend to, I get out of the less is more type thing and overanalyze stuff. But if I had to slice it up into a pie, most of that pie would be just talking to the coaches about rotations and tweaks and things of that nature. But I think all coaches are like that. Just spend a lot of time trying to get yourself as ready as possible for the game with, maybe a show or two that I'm watching, or a book that I'm reading, or a song that I'm listening to by a favorite group or something like that. And there's texting with my kids, my family, my wife before the game starts, or before I have a meeting or something like that. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Next up is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Cody Cunningham.
Hey, Monty, with Chris and Devin going from game 3 to game 4, when you watched back the film, did you like the quality of looks they were getting, and how would you just assess the offensive flow and their ability to kind of try and get back into it?
Yeah, I didn't think the shots were bad at all. I thought there were a few late clock situations where we couldn't get up a good shot, but I credit their defense with that. We put them in situations where they were in late clock situations. Paul George had a shot clock violation. I thought our defense had a lot to do with that. Chris's closeout onto Paul in the corner forced him out of the corner, and we got a shot clock violation on them. And then they put us in situations where we were in late clock situations. But I didn't think the shots were bad yesterday. We just had so many shots go in and out, in and out. I don't know if I've ever seen that many in a game. And I think those two guys, they got multiple defenders on them. They're being blitzed. At times they're being switched on to. It's the playoffs. It's us going against one of the more veteran defensive teams in the league, and I think our guys are doing enough to get wins. I'm hopeful that we see an offensive explosion here soon, along with the defensive intensity we had last night.
Two questions are Cody Cunningham with Suns.com and Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty. Going back to Ayton, obviously his scoring and rebounding and blocks have been great for you guys. But, beyond the stat sheet, when it comes to your guys' offense, just how critical have his screens been in terms of, initiating the offense and just getting you guys into your plays?
Yeah, I think the screening, if you just looked at screening as a concept, you could say, well, he's been great, but his intention to get the right angle on the screen has really freed us up to get down the lane or keep the guy that he's screening behind him so that when he dives, he has a chance to get a rim touch. And then when they're switching, he has a chance to get offensive rebounds. So there's a lot of components to the screen that he and Chris have talked about so many days to try to get that thing where it's efficient. And so the screening for us is huge. DA generates so much for us with his dives, his screens, and his ability to rebound out of his position or his space. But to your point, that's a lot of conversations and a lot of work between he and Chris and he and Devin on the angles of the screens. So it's been helpful for our team.
This will be the final two right here. Next is going to be Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, and we'll finish with Rachel Nichols.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, throughout the season, we've asked the players about your, quote, Monty-isms, don't get happy on the farm and things of that sort. So that's obviously rubbed off on them. What are things that they have done that have rubbed off on you?
I think when they make fun of me, I think that's a sign that we're tight, that they feel comfortable with a word that I may use or something that I may say that could be out of nowhere or corny or, whatever it is, they don't mind making fun of me. I think that's a sign that we're a tight group. And last year it wasn't like that. Last year it was there was this not tension, but there was a wall still there. It was more me reaching out, making fun of them or talking about this and that kind of thing. I think the thing that I really like about our team is I can joke with them and they don't take it seriously. Like we all listen to different music and I can joke about the kind of music they listen to and they don't get it like personal. They're just like, oh, coach, you listen to, whatever, that kind of thing. So I think that the relationship piece is tighter. And I think they all understand how much I care about them. I think they care about me and our staff. And, that tends to lead to more, intimate conversations, joking around, that kind of thing. They probably tell you some of the words I use are kind of goofy, and I catch them from time to time when I'm talking. I see a guy like looking at his teammate like, did you hear what he just said? That kind of thing. So I think they've rubbed off on me in that way because they're looser with me now and more apt to joke and actually joke on me more than they did last year.
Final question is Rachel Nichols with ESPN.
Hey, Coach. Yesterday, Chris called Devin an old soul. He said he's the oldest 24-year-old he's ever been around. I didn't know how you saw that idea and what about Devin makes him feel like an old 24-year-old.
I mean, he reminds me of a few of my uncles that if you walked into a room, you may think they're mad at you because they didn't say anything or they just may deadpan you for about 15 seconds. And, you know, you look at the cars that he drives, like he's got a lot of old school cars, not a guy that feels like he's got to talk a lot, you know, to get his point across. He's pretty secure in who he is from that standpoint. The thing I like about Devin is, you know, the NBA has turned into so many cliques. And I'm not quite sure if Devin has many friends at all. I know of a couple, but he's not one of the guys that is into the cliques. When he steps on the floor, it's about business. He's not about being friends. And that to me is old school, old soul. Mm-hmm. I learned when I came into the league playing with Charles Oakley and Patrick and Doc and Derek Harper, Herb Williams, like those guys, they were not trying to be friends with anybody when you were competing against them. And Devin is the same way.
Nice.
Thank you very much for your time, Coach.
Thank you.